do you mean? Oh, hit the buttons? Yeah, the whole
Quantum bombs.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're live again here. Podcast we don't know. And I don't even know what topics we're going to talk about today. I brought one to the table. I'm sure these three around me will bring as well. It's Russell, Matt, and Jennifer in the room. What do we want to kick off with first?
I'm just here for the Bud Light.
Okay, so
Right, there you go.
You know what? If you could see us, we do have coffee and beer and water at the table and sparkling fizzies. So we'll kick off with the latest Miller Lite thing that happened within the last 72 hours. You've probably heard about it. I don't know. Matt doesn't know the entire story, so I'll just quickly brief you. A month or two ago, a Miller Lite commercial surfaced and went viral, a woke commercial of a woman pointing out the obvious. And okay, let me preface that A, I am a bikini model. That's not past tense because I'm going to do photo shoots in bikinis coming soon. And B, I will sell my beer TV show where I travel the world and bring you the world's beer story. So I'm very versed in the beer world and the beer history. So Miller Lite had a commercial of women in Mesopotamia, which is today's Iraq, so you can't drink there. But that is where beer originated from, and all human civilization, everything came from beer. Anyways, women created, helped back then in the Mesopotamian days, and they're like, women were the ones that brought you beer. And we want to apologize because women and beer today, the relationship is basically like babes in bikinis. And they had a bunch of those hot Miller Lite bikini models shown, like the cutout boards you used to see growing up.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to apologize, and they went on some type of campaign that was hard to follow, saying, it's our promise to you women that we're going to take up all the crap with the women in bikini propaganda promoting beer, and we're going to recycle it and turn it into mulch, and then we're going to grow hops with it and donate these hops to women brewers.
There was never a problem, and they just made some crap
Yeah,
up.
so
what?
who
is this, Miller?
I just wanted to have the same opinion that I keep hearing, but I support what you're hearing, which is, as a woman and a bikini model, I work my butt off in the gym. You work most people that are out there any type of modeling or bodybuilding, so much work and effort goes into that. It feels really nice to have people appreciate that. People that are models, it's empowering. And so anyways, I drink beer all the time. I'm a huge beer consumer. Nothing about babes in bikinis bothers me. It's the same thing as when you see an actor have a wonderful six-pack and a moment of taking off his shirt. And all the objectification of men and women goes both ways. Jennifer, you as a female, what do you think now that you've heard the Miller Lite debacle?
I also think that, I think that the complaint probably started somewhere, that there were some women, just objectifying women all the time. But those women signed up for it if they modeled for it.
Who complained? Nobody complained.
But when you're
Some
at
woman that didn't have a body like that, probably.
when you're in
probably
old
not nice to say.
John's Oasis when we were growing up, those, it's weird, but I've always looked up to things like that, like a cutout of a woman or a guy, or even a guy. I'll wonder, oh, look at that country music singer, especially if it's a beer babe. Like, I've always aspired that. I actually have a picture. Oh, shit, I'm going to put this on the internet. I have a picture of me in a Miller Lite silver bikini looking good at the river, and I'm going to post it. I didn't think about it till just now, and it actually is the brand Miller Lite.
I used to have a Corona bikini.
Oh, really?
Okay. Okay, so you're literally on the bandwagon with us.
You know, it's funny. I just got back from ski patrol at some ski lodges I won't name, talking to them about their explosive needs and stuff. And I went into one of the magazines where they actually load the avalanche control charges, and it was such a breath of fresh air. There were like posters up there with chicks with the bikinis barely holding anything and like dick jokes on the wall. And I said, wow, this is like a throwback to 1985. And they said, yeah. Corporate really hadn't made it in this building yet, and we don't know how long this is going to last. I said, please hold on to this bastion of just normal people.
You're right. It was a 90s. It was a generational thing to see those, like, posters. I guess posters are something that disappeared.
Yeah, it was like
time.
the beer commercial. It was beer posters of these girls in clad bikinis up there. And guys, nobody was even complaining. Nobody.
I think it probably, I'll look at the other side of it. It's probably also that as women, we are shown, and teenagers and girls, you're shown all these women that look like they have perfect bodies, and then you have that expectation for yourself to have to look that way. So I can kind of get that side of it as well, if that's what their issue is, or if that's where it started.
Well, what did it take to get that body? Which is healthier? A big 400-pound blob or that body? Which one's healthier? Which one is the aim that we should be saying, hey, this is health?
I feel like I fall on both sides of that coin. Like, okay, I look at those women and yeah, so I do all the things to look like them. And that's the physical healthy side, but completely transparent. The mental health side, I know from therapists and therapy and my own shortcomings, I'm not healthy, right? Like with self-love. Like I only love myself when I look like this. So yeah, I'm suffering but I also recognize that's a choice, like my own choice to have those thoughts. Like it's not society making me feel like I'm not. That's my own choice to feel that way. I have plenty of friends that are overweight and love their bodies way more than I do. And they're mentally happy and healthy. So anyways.
Russell, what about you? You look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. I look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I'm like, wow, I wish I looked like that. But we don't. But I'm okay.
You just said they're overweight, happy, and healthy. Well, by definition,
yes, when I mean overweight.
You can't be obese. Like that's
True.
a health issue.
So when I say overweight, I mean like just some love, just some fat love.
You're subscribing to the new science that says that you can be as big as you want and it doesn't affect
Well, I
your
guess
health.
let me clarify too. So, okay, obviously, for those that don't know, I used to be in bodybuilding. So my standards are like completely almost all body fat gone. And that's where I'm happy and comfortable.
It's nowhere near where the average American
So, yeah,
is.
I know. So most of my friends who I guess were a little bit more average or like an extra 15 to 20 could lose, which I would still consider that kind of healthy because that's kind of where most of us are at. Anyways, I just wanted to point out that, yes, I'll admit I don't have a healthy body image, but also I'll add most people in bodybuilding don't.
Guys, if I have a product, I don't want to put average on my box. I want to put the top on my box, on my label, not average.
Hey, so before we get too far from Bud Light.
Yeah, I was actually going to say there's a lot of Bud Light to talk about.
No, but a quick side tangent I thought was worth going down. If you're able to tell, because I'm curious, why do ski resorts need someone like yourself for? Are you able to talk about this?
Yeah, I'm not going to name any names.
Well, okay, so my question would be, why do ski resorts need explosives from a guy like you?
Oh, because when it snows a lot, the snow builds up on top of the mountain overnight, and there can be avalanches the next day. So they have to go up there and throw these explosive charges on it, which shock the mountain, and then the snow slides off. And it's controlled avalanche, so that there's not one while the people are out there skiing during the day and they get covered up.
They're manually delivered?
Yeah, they actually
I can't believe
ski
you haven't
up
heard
there.
these.
Yeah, they ski up there and light the fuse and throw it like Wile E. Coyote, and throw these bombs off the side of a hill, ski away.
They light a fuse?
Yeah, they light a fuse like cartoons and throw it and ski away, and it blows up and down goes the snow.
I thought it would be something more sophisticated where they unroll the wire or something.
So
No.
Matt's actually working on patenting something very sophisticated just for the ski industry. But I'm surprised if you have gone skiing, like we'll toot Matt's horn. Matt took Jennifer and I and everyone that is affiliated in a roundabout way with his company to Montana last year skiing. And yeah, you heard them blasting all day long, Russell. So if you were at a ski resort, you'll hear the explosions.
Yeah, usually in the morning. You'll hear it in the morning.
Yeah, you're right.
And they
Morning
have other ways.
Mid-afternoon.
They actually have artillery, 105 millimeter artillery that's on loan from the U.S. Army through the Forest Service, and they will fire our live HE shells, high explosive shells, into the mountainside that explode. You knock the snow down, and then they have other devices that use pressurized air that thump these little darts up that blow up. But the workhorse of avalanche control is a man or a woman skiing up on top of this mountain, lighting fuses on bombs and throwing them.
Okay, so back to Bud Light. I think you misnamed it. Isn't this known as like the Bud Light thing and not the Miller Light thing?
Yeah, okay, so my major concern with the Miller Lite thing coming out is I don't want to lose focus. I think we're doing really good with what's gone on with Bud Light in regards to just letting the world know. I mean, it isn't about one thing or another. It's about a whole, like, consumers really teaching the world, consumers matter, right? Anyways, so I'm hoping that Miller Lite doesn't get us too far off track. I would like to just focus with Anheuser-Busch, forget that the Miller Lite thing even happened. Even myself, like right now, we're in the middle with one of my producing partners from another country on getting my beer television show picked up, which is a travel show where I teach you about beer. And I'm like, well, dang it, I'm a girl, and here they are talking about women, but that's woke. And I'm like, well, I'm the furthest thing from being woke. I just want to teach you about beer, But it's become so politicized. This is actually now what we're talking about when making these moves with beer. But back on me being paranoid about my weight, I'm drinking a Blue Moon, and they actually I've now become more obsessed with the Blue Moon light. I'll call them lights. They have 95 calories and 3.4 carbs. Now, typically, guys, your beers are going to have over 200 calories and I think 15 to 30 carbohydrates. And these are flavored. This one's a pineapple orange and the other one is a tangerine flavored. And I actually prefer it over the normal Blue Moon. Matt is drinking a strawberry beer from Shiner.
Real man drink, strawberry flavor.
It's way too strawberry.
It is. So
Like
I actually,
punch.
sorry, I'm glad you mentioned that. Sorry, I'm like talking too much, but I do love I'm obsessed with about this beer stuff. So Shiner's strawberry beer, my brother's accurate. Whatever they do, I'd like to think they do brew it with the strawberries, but they infuse it too much where it tastes fake. But there's a good one from Louisiana strawberries. It's at some of the HEBs that you can find. That's the bomb. It's a beta.
Well,
a beta.
Now that we know how many calories are in your beer,
Yeah,
thank you. I wanted to ask: is there so because I know a lot of people that decided to boycott Anheuser-Busch jumped over to Miller. So were these guys like, yeah, screw Bud Light for going woke? Like it's the end for them. Never drinking their products. I'm drinking Miller now, and then now Miller. They're showing this commercial by Miller, and they're like, oh crap! Now Miller's woke too.
I know. Well,
There's got to be a ton of.
well, I think it's going to be across the spectrum. Everybody feels differently, but I guess if you had to weigh out the sin, right? Like one sin was just women being hurt by being bikini like stop objectifying women's bodies, and the other one is saying, well, you know what the other one with Bud Light is saying. It says many different things.
Which the vast majority of America didn't give a shit. Why why are we even talking about this dumb stuff?
It's important though. Actually, no, this is something that
I can explain why it actually is.
Jesus,
important.
what about Mars?
it's
We're
the
going to
most
Mars.
important thing that every CEO company is talking about right now: marketing, branding. Who's your spokesperson? I, as a TV host, I'm
Idiocracy
very
came
fascinated
real.
with this. Who's your spokesmodel will be the biggest thing going forward the next 10 years.
I think so. I'd like to try to articulate why this is important. It's difficult, but in my opinion, the Democrat Party has been taken over by a small minority group of extremists.
Yeah.
And this extremist group and their tribe use mid-level violence to get things done, and they're using mid-level violence to take over this country. And you saw this in the George Floyd riots, like they were breaking windows and burning stuff down. Now, like, if you swoop mid-level violence, I mean, they're not being so violent you can justify like extreme force to stop it. It's like a sibling putting their finger in your ear, and it's annoying. But if you punch them, you overreacted. Now they get mom, and they're in trouble, right? So this mid-level violence is sort of like this tactic, and so this extremist group has been able to make people at these Bud Light companies think that they're the majority, because they're the small minority that go out and do all this rioting and stuff and getting their way, and they think like, oh, let's virtue signal this group and let's get Dylan Mulvaney on and let's sponsor them. So if we're able to actually have a call, like if Bud Light were to apologize for having done that, then that would mean that the small minority fringe group that uses this mid-level violence, and by the way, which is included in this, is like firing, canceling, closing bank accounts, deplatforming, all of these things are included in their tactics, right? But if this boycott of Bud Light is able to actually have and Bud Light were to apologize, or at least, I mean, I think it's proven effective right now, it would say that the majority of Americans that don't fall in line with this fringe minority of extremists are more powerful. They matter more. We're gonna stop listening to these terrorists that are trying to change the country and the culture.
They have,
and that's why I think the Bud Light boycott is actually important.
Well, the Bud Light
That's the
boycott,
best thing ever.
I agree. I guess
No,
I just can't believe we've come this far.
no, the
down.
Bud Light is the first time since I like how he puts it, mid-level accepted violence or getting our way, a tyrannical way for the small fringe group. This is the first time we're organizing and standing up. And that's why I'm like, I actually don't want to say it's against this or it's against that. It's literally everything we've experienced post-COVID. It really is the first time people are going, okay, we could do this. But yeah, I'd say 70% of the country usually agrees on things. But yet we have bent for less than 2 to 1% of the fringe minorities completely.
So it's pretty clear that they've taken over the Democrat Party when you look at, like, how old is Joe Biden?
Actually,
82?
80, I think.
You think an 80-year-old man like actually thinks like, yeah, we should be changing the genders of our children? Like, no 80-year-old man thinks that. Like,
My dad damn sure don't. He's 80.
But he's saying these things because he's being controlled by those people, those extremists. So
That guy can't walk a straight line. He's being controlled by all kinds of people around him. He's a puppet.
And we're even more scarier on that age note. No one brings up when they're talking about him as a president and why he won't debate. No one says the obvious. Dude, you're just not debating because we don't know if you could actually speak anymore. They're actually like walking around the subject of saying, well, anyway, stay back on the Bud Light. So I actually really like what you said about that. It's very well put. And that's why, I mean, I've this past 2 months, because it's been 2 months now as well, and we've met record highs. I was just telling Matt, the lowest country region on sales reduced is 14% in New England, but the South, around Florida and all of them, are at like, what, 29%? Texas is 25% sales reduction in Bud Light.
Well, I wanted to ask her, are you doing your part by shaming anyone you see buying an Anheuser-Busch product?
No.
Why?
I don't pay attention to people buying beer.
You live out here in the country. You don't see anybody anyway.
For what they want to buy.
I saw a guy I didn't know at the gas station buying a Bud Light, a 18-pack of Bud Light. I didn't say anything, but I felt guilty about myself for not having been like, hey, do you know?
Same thing happened to me at Buc-ee's. There were younger guys, and I saw them, and I felt, I kept looking, like I was waiting for them to look at me, and I was going to point at it, like, what are you doing? And then I didn't, and then it actually bothered me that I didn't do it.
Well, they're like giving it away now, so it's hard not to blame people. They're having a $20 rebate for a case. So it's literally free.
Well, what's a case cost?
Whatever the price of a case is, a 24-pack and maybe, I don't know. It's close to free if you're getting the rebates.
No kidding?
Yeah. Well, they're trying to move product. Beer has an expiration date.
41 cents at Costco. 41 cents at Costco.
That's hilarious. So it is having an effect.
Well, yeah, and like, okay, locally, sorry to throw in the bus Blake Street, but it'd be an honor if you hear it. But like our local bar here, I asked, they have Bud Light on tap. He said, well, we haven't sold it since this started, so we haven't sold out of it yet. We usually order, I think, I forgot how he said it, but basically 2 things twice a week or something.
Kegs.
But he plans, that's what they are. But he basically says once it's tapped out, he's like, I'm definitely not buying more. So I think there's this, across the nation, it's neat. It's like everybody's kind of teetering out of the final part of whatever inventory they had, and they dang sure ain't buying it.
What's fun about the whole thing is Bud Light's response, like they roll out the horses,
right away,
but
the next week.
But hey guys, so every quarter shareholder meetings are held for earnings, so you could just tune right in. So this is it's a public call for the shareholders, but it's not hard. You just have to buy $1 worth of stock, and you could get the phone number. They played it on YouTube. They were not apologetic, and they're like, we just need to double down that it wasn't technically a supported campaign. And they did say this from the beginning. We sent out a lot of these promo cans to a lot of social media influencers. That was just the one that got out and broke the camel's back and went viral. But they were not apologetic on the earnings call. They were really just saying we need to double down that this was a one-time thing, and it wasn't our main spokesperson. They have not apologized, just so you know, Russell. And I think even if they had 2 weeks ago, I don't think it would have been enough because it was already, you already did it.
They ought to just confuse everybody and put a Down syndrome person out there doing beer.
The blonde lady was what lost everybody. She said it needs to be brighter. Our brand needs to be brighter and inclusive, more bright and inclusive. And then she cut them down as being like frat jerks, which, anyways, the blonde lady's what lost, I think, what did it. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the other things they've done. Right now, they're rolling out a camo can, so that'll get us back.
All those rednecks.
Oh, that's actually pretty good, though. Got to give it to them.
Yeah, because it looks different. It's not blue. You're not grossed out but it still says Bud Light. Just
they're gonna say America next.
They're gonna have to change the name.
You can tell this is so bad.
Or not change the name, but they'll put BL and then some,
Oh, man.
They're recoiling so hard. You can tell they're trying to cater to Joe Sixpack America now.
With the camo cans for sure, yeah.
And the Clydesdales.
Yeah.
Which they never should have left from. Wasn't that their original thing, the Clydesdales?
Yeah.
Which was cool. Just, it works. Stayed with it. Why did you take this fringe group? Guys, I know maybe 3. I know a lot of people. I mean, I think I know 3 trans people. And just if you look at this from a pure business standpoint.
That's more than most people.
From what gender to what gender?
Men well, two men becoming women, one woman becoming man.
And
But from a pure business standpoint, I wouldn't pick this tiny fraction and market to them. And then I hear the stats now. They're saying that 1 in 5 children are confused.
1 in 4.
1 in 4.
School.
How many kids you got?
3.
All right. Are any of them transitioning?
No.
Yeah, I got 4.
bad parenting.
None of mine are. There's 7.
Yeah, we definitely know it's social conditioning to.
It's a lie. It's a lie, is what it is. It's not true. There's not 1 in 5 kids at elementary school going, "Oh, I really think I'm a boy or a girl."
It's 1 in 4, Matt. Please
it's
get
bullshit, is what it is.
Well, hey, I'm
1 in 4.
actually confused at where people like Jordan Peterson stand, because he's talked about it for years now. Does he actually say that it's a mental disorder called gender dysphoria, and that we shouldn't be affirming it, and that the care should be just like psychological treatments? Or where does you're a fan of Jordan, so I'm
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. He did pick that fight with Ellen or Elliot Page. I can't remember which one's the correct one. So one of those names is a dead name. Sorry. Anyways, I don't know what he deems it as. I'm not going to make a judgment.
Well, then what is? Well, I mean, gender dysphoria.
I actually don't, like most people, have a bone to pick with the trans people. And growing up, like
I don't have a bone to pick with them.
Here's the funny thing:
It's a small group.
I had one as a neighbor in Austin, and I just remember knowing the stats. I'm a sociology major. It's about 0.05% of our community as a world, and that was that. That was it. But then when they started having men piss on my toilet, and this is true, no one ever talks about. Once we started changing the bathrooms, and bathrooms became unisex, no one ever points out the obvious, which is women sit on the toilet. Okay, if it's public, I mean, sometimes we would like to, but now we sit. Now we share bathrooms with men. Thank you. We are basically peeing over a urinal now, so which is not needed. Since again, go back to the facts, but yeah, I mean. 1 in 4 high school students now identify as something.
I don't believe that number. I don't believe that number for a half a second.
I do.
That if I went to the local high school, that 25% of them are like, "No, I'm the opposite sex."
No.
Bullshit.
Well, okay,
That
so
they're questioning.
They're
curious or whatever.
It's one of the
way they
alphabet
phrase
things.
What, they had a
Yes.
thought one day?
No,
that
so
doesn't count.
It's not just gender, meaning like they may feel bi or they may feel pans. I don't even know all the words, but I'm just saying
Christ.
the stuff that we've now put into our vocabulary. is a good way
Somebody
to put it.
somewhere out there is amassing a force that's going to
Anyway,
crush us one day. Why are we talking about our dicks and
Well, that
vaginas?
is actually
That's
so
all
that.
we talk about.
Well, I think you just answered our question. So back to Russell's point, the powers that be that are pushing Joe Biden to actually talk about gender affirming mutilation for young children, is that I suppose the powers that be want us focused on things like
It don't matter.
that don't matter. When
You guys-
and when I say don't matter, guys, it's not that I don't care about people's feelings. Well, actually, I don't. I care about more things that are concrete, like food, freedom, shelter, and anyways. So that's what matters in life, right? But we're worrying about our feelings versus safety, freedom, food, shelter. That's actually what really matters.
Did you guys see that Elon actually said that any doctor that permanently sterilizes a child or an underage child less than 18 should go to jail for life?
Yeah. Does anybody argue that?
I couldn't get
I
my
mean, all
belly
the doctors
pierced.
doing it.
I couldn't get my belly pierced at 17. I mean, that's a big decision. I think I think I snuck it, or dad or mom wrote a
Can
letter.
you
I mean,
get a tattoo?
No.
But
I think
you can
have
get
to
your-
be 18 to legally get a tattoo.
But you can have irreversible
Get your wiener
surgery.
cut off, and you're good to go at what, 15?
You can have a wound created for others to pleasure
Holy
themselves with.
shit! The thought of that.
It is weird.
What do women do? Where do they
but
build a
people
wiener
don't
from?
even
And this
think
is like
about
the
it.
hill
You
they
may-
want to die on.
And you
too.
may not even have you may not have the sexual urge to even have someone pleasure themselves on the wound, Russell, that you're talking about. They're going to create.
let
Like
me tell you-
seriously, we don't know what hormones change you.
Hey, listen, we need to invest in mental health coming up in about 5 or 10 years from now. It is going to jump through the roof, and suicides are going to jump through the roof because people
Too
do dumb
late.
shit when they're young. Can you imagine being 30 and think, I cut my dick off? And
Yeah, and you don't feel like your hormones are imbalanced. I mean, I'm coming from someone that's I've always battled depression. Hormonal imbalance. Your hormones and balance is like the most important topic of your health you could have. So to have someone actually be okay with taking pills to change that at a young age without really thinking it through. I'll just stick in my spiritual note. So my thoughts are, let's see if I could say it in one log line. Because based on the idea of reincarnation, you might have spent your prior lives as one sex or the other, which may help explain when your soul chose to be a different gender, why you might be gay or why you might be trans or have all these mixed feelings about you keep having same reason. Like, I think I want to live in England. I want to live in Europe so bad. Maybe my last life I was there. I don't know. It's just a theory. I thought I'd put that out there for your thought experiment. It's a big theory, though.
So if you believe in reincarnation, but aren't you reincarnated as different species as well?
No,
So
you're always
that's
evolving
just
up this spiritual out. You obviously haven't watched my 30-minute description.
Are
on
you
YouTube.
denying the furries now? We got kids that think they're cats. Are you saying they weren't a cat like in a previous life, and that's why they want to eat?
Well, they might have the spiritual evolution. So we've come from rocks and mold and algae and graduated on up to the human, but. Between
So they resonate more with whatever animal they came through, and then that's why they think they're
But there's
furries.
a severance between the monkeys, and then once you get to human, you were given the 1,000-petaled lotus light brain, which gives you Christ consciousness. There is a distinction that you would make with the reincarnation taught between humans and animals.
It's hurt.
Just put that out there.
This all hurts my head. I want to know, like,
I'm
where
just
are
trying
the
to
grown-ups?
explain why someone has an itch to have like a dong again. Okay, they spent like thousands of years having a dong and they don't have one now, and maybe that's why they want one. I don't know. Look.
Well, hey,
It's a big belief in the spiritual community,
The
and it
furry
actually explains
situation.
the gay. It actually, I have gay friends that also think this is probably their presumption as well. The past life they were a woman, and or what, vice versa. I don't know which way it works, but sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, it also explains why the trans species exist.
Oh, the animal thing? Yeah, I definitely just think that's a TikTok thing.
What do you mean?
They have an
Clarify
audience
that.
to watch.
Well, the people that think
they
identify, like that one lady on that identifies as a wolf.
Oh, I
If
thought you had an
nobody-
example of something
if
in
you
nature
just-
that
I
morphed
wonder
or changed.
if you had zero audience, so the internet didn't exist, do you really think she's proud to be a wolf in her small community of like 1,000 people in the mountain?
Guys, this is mental.
No,
illness.
she'd be an outcast. So the
She
cult,
probably wouldn't be a wolf then.
yeah. So this is You're right. The
we
internet
have
has
an audience.
The
Yes.
internet has, I guess, made it possible because they would be an outcast in a small tribe. The tribe would keep them in order, and
They would actually go to talk to her about her mental health. Probably the
Guys,
tribe
we would provide for. We should provide for people like this and help them live as good a
But
life as possible. But you don't put them on the pedestal and say, "Lead us." What
and,
the hell?
And Joe Biden did. So I don't know if you know, but Dylan Mulvaney was invited to the White House and was given a conversational talk with Joe. He interviewed Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So that actually is what I was
Actually-
surprised about Bud Light was that they chose somebody that was already actually on a political side. Meaning he was friends with the Democrats.
but to me, this proves men are better than women because men are better at being women.
yeah,
Yeah. Ouch. Wow.
they're winning sports. Which,
And
by
they're
the
winning
way,
beauty contests. Like this big fat Samoan looking dude won some thing and a beauty contest, and the women are applauding him. I'm like, wow, you worked hard, you worked out, you dieted, you got your six pack going, and you lost to a 275-pound, maybe 300-pound fat Samoan dressed in a dress, and you're clapping for that.
Well, the Samoan,
Cried.
cried.
Y'all talk about athletes.
Is he Samoan? I don't even know. It doesn't matter.
Maybe
I don't care. I ain't got nothing against Samoans. Could be a Texan. I don't give a shit.
No, he was Hawaiian descent. What were you going to say?
I want to
Russell?
see. I want to see an athlete. I asked you earlier because I hear a lot of people say transgender. Well, I mean, the first thing I wonder is what gender to what gender, and it seems like man to woman's more common, but in professional competitive sports, that's the only one you see. You don't see any
You
women.
don't see any women going to compete with men?
No.
Why is that?
Actually,
Why is that?
there was a-
Let's arm wrestle, Jim.
Gee, I wonder. I really wonder why.
I thought there was that one woman that challenged 3 boxers. I do want to say this. I signed up with all this Bud Light talk for wokealerts.com. You could go to that website and they will put in your cell phone number and they'll text you woke alerts. So I hadn't got one yet.
Don't sign me up for
So
that.
it wasn't like they don't spam you. So it's my first one after 2 weeks of signing up. And today was Nike's Nike, Adidas, and Speedo. Here's the link. These 3 companies support trans. I don't know what trans men and women's sports, or trans women and trans women and women's sports.
Well, Adidas is just making up for their history.
Yes.
Adidas said, that's the way they say it in Germany. Adidas. They made the boots for the SS and the goose stepping boots for the Nazis. Them and Puma.
Pretty sure every German company was manufacturing stuff for the Nazis.
Oh
But
well,
is
we shouldn't
Adidas
forgive them. We
German?
shouldn't forget that now,
Is
should we?
Adidas German?
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh.
So they need to be paying reparations or something. Free boots maybe for everybody. Free shoes. Well, they're making up for it, I guess, right? They're going, whoa. So stupid. Why is it in the 50s our cars looked like rockets? We had a restaurant called Sonic. Everything was revolving around science and progression and learning to build something that would make a better future for us. And then now we just talk about our genitals. This sucks. Like if this was a game, I'd hit reset. Like it went stupid.
I think it's a good sign of
Bud Light is important. Or the ban on Bud Light.
like the
That's
end of an
ban is
empire.
important.
To me, that's what it's a sign for.
Yeah, of course it
yes.
is. It's sad.
Yes, back to your point about the powers that be. They're weakening us, and I'm waiting for the large change.
No. Just rotate the top because Matt hit it. There you go.
Sorry,
Sorry.
man. Sorry.
Oh, but is it right
Trying to
now?
rip it off
Is the
It
shot
was.
right?
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, okay. No, I do believe it's a good foreshadowing on harder times to come, like a proper World War III, or actually a forced. They did say in the news today that there are 2 cases of some type of bird flu in the UK, and so the WHO, I think, is all excited about it, and they have goals for vaccines already for children, and for some reason it was like on their agenda of Bill Gates and the WHO, and this time around. They will get the vaccines right with the children, and they will be the main ones vaccinated. Anyways, we all know they have upcoming plans for our upcoming pandemics. So I don't know what the future holds, but I definitely think it's going to be interesting. And I mean future, I mean like next 5 to 10.
They need to make it more deadly this time because COVID was a little too weak. If you think about it, like a lot of people kind of made fun of
But
it.
it was a perfect scenario. They're like, man, it was only a 1% death ratio, and we got almost all the power they asked.
Way
for.
less.
Well, it was made in
Way
China.
less than
It
1%.
was made in China, so wasn't that great?
Yeah,
I
wasn't
mean,
that
if you
strong.
hear of one coming out of like Munich or something, watch out. That shit's gonna kill 98%.
He's kind of right.
Yeah,
Coming out of the
yeah.
Third Reich.
We've got this Waffen virus coming out of Germany. I'm heading for the hills.
I've been talking too much, so I'm just, y'all.
Yeah, come on, Jenny. What you got?
I thought you had this. You were doing downstairs. I saw you doing show prep.
Oh, it kind of ended there. It ended on actually on a new topic. This is as of the last 24 hours that I want to get this right. I want to say it. Congress, or I forget who was telling who, but someone, either Congress is telling them or someone's telling Congress that they were admitting that the FBI was part of the January 6th debacle. But we already know this, but it was actually spoken about and openly in our government today, admitting that the agents were there.
Hey, what do you know about the Durham report that just came
Well,
out?
hold on. Don't blow over that topic
Well, I thought
real
that
quick.
was it. That didn't have anything
Oh,
to do
dear
with it.
Lord, Matt. We will cut. No, the Durham report is the Russian collusion hoax with Donald Trump when he was running for. It was by Hillary Clinton's made up this hoax about Russia. And
Sorry, I've been busy
collusion
working,
With, okay, yeah. So that's that separate topic. I actually was kind of curious if Russell had anything to say about the January 6th. I don't like talking about it too much because I don't have all the facts, but I feel like both of these topics have been. In fact, it is old news. With the Russia collusion, everybody was like, we're relearning these names again for the second time. This was huge years ago.
We
but-
went over this like on our biannual podcast 6 months ago. Ray Epps was there. We
with
need to
January
go
6th?
into the Capitol, and they're
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Fed. Yeah, I mean, everyone knew. Ray, people on the ground knew that guy was a
I
Fed.
think the only thing important to take away is we do know the FBI was in there acting as normal, I guess, Trump supporting rioters. Meanwhile, there are citizens that have not gone to court yet that could, you're innocent until proven guilty, so they have not been given a trial and are in solitary confinement. At this point.
Orange Man said he's going to pardon him, though.
And we don't even know what they're, I don't know. Just imagine being somewhere. Like, what were you protesting? Yeah, they literally let that one Indian or, the main guy into the building. truly gave him a red carpet escort as seen on
Oh yeah, the
camera.
QAnon shaman. It came out. They were like just guiding that guy around the whole time.
9 police gave him a perfect tour and red carpet escort into the building.
Let's throw that guy in the slammer forever.
I think he's in there without a court. I mean, I think he's one of the many that are isolated. He was at, and then he even thanked the police for showing him how to get in. So yeah, at that point in time, you got a question like, did he even know he was in the wrong? The police literally put him in there.
Guys, you could be at a 3-year-old birthday party. Clown comes out on stage and says something. People put it on Facebook, and then you look at the comments, and you can see that you're like, wow, these people are so off track. I was there, I saw what happened, and these people are lost on what happened. Now, extrapolate that out from January 6th to what we're seeing on the news and what people are saying. We don't have a freaking clue unless you were there, and there's so much confusing.
Well, I think-
I
documentation.
actually don't think it was that confusing. It looked like just what it turned out it came
Well,
out to
you
be,
know that
which is like
somebody
a
got
few
shot.
people hanging out. Some people walked in, some people walked out.
But
Didn't
something
seem too bad.
escalated at some point because
Did
people
it?
were shot. Yeah, there's a woman
Ashley
that's dead.
Babbitt.
How many people were shot though? I mean,
Was it
like,
just one?
I'm sorry, but I was
So-
watching the BLM.
It was a woman. She got shot.
Ashley Babbitt.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my thoughts, because I was with, actually, I'll admit it, I was with one of my close friends who's complete liberal, and I was there, and I was like, I'm so happy to see this. You know why? Because I'm sick of seeing the BLM riots, them burn down small businesses, and I was like, this is
Cities.
great. We took it to, you're right, cities for weeks. You know, they've taken over people's homes and businesses. So I was actually like, this is exactly what we need to do. When you have a problem, go protest at a government building, because at least those people can, you know, no one's sleeping there or has a business that's been run. So it's a fantastic idea, and I'll stand by what I'm saying. Then after that, after that, they actually acted like it was a big deal. Again, okay. So anyway, that's I get a second one.
Now it's
Thank you.
too cold. Oof.
We're handing out beers. All right, but that's that. January 6th. Not that I'm never been interested in the topic because I've always saw it for what it was. A day where some people like walked around, protested, made out to be way more than it should have been. Actually, Russell, let me ask you this. I didn't learn about it, but I saw it in the news. So technically, within the last 24 hours, Putin took the most violent act yet to date in the Ukraine war, and I wanted to brief myself on it. Maybe you could.
No, absolutely not.
It just happened. Like, seriously.
Well, you're telling me about it then. Was it what is it? One of those missiles that got shot? He shot a missile, but it got shot down.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
the hypersonic missiles? Is that what it was?
And one of our Patriot batteries took it down.
That's
You know what gets me
incredible.
about that whole war is like Americans think that like Russia doesn't think America has anything to do with it.
you're saying Russia's?
Like we got nothing to do with it because it's Ukraine versus Russia.
Oh, we
no,
think
Russia
that?
thinks they're at war with us.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, but I have Russian friends, and so we're a bit
Well,
different. But
if you hear like rocks hitting your house and you go outside your house and someone's throwing rocks and there's a guy handing them rocks, be like, well, this guy got nothing to do with it.
No, that's right. And historically, I mean, when stuff starts boiling off in Europe over there, unlike these other countries where you have these little factions, little terrorist groups running here to there, these guys, we're having a real war, like trenches and tanks and groups of soldiers with artillery barrages, and then infantry moves in. We haven't seen that since World War II in Korea. I would say Vietnam started getting a lot more guerrilla warfare type, but historically speaking, when Europe boils, and it's been boiling for over a year now, it's gonna spread into something.
actually, on that note, to educate the Americans, just so you know, what is being shown on Russian television, and most Russian citizens are just as innocent as we are as citizens. What they're being shown is look at America. Look at the fall, basically how their country is falling apart to wokeism. Their fight with us is the West. Their fight with the West is their fight against woke. So Russian citizens support. You laugh, but
No,
this is
they're gonna
actually
gain
their
like
propaganda.
half the support of
They
America.
did. If you watch their military recruiting videos and things like that, so this is how they are recruiting in the Russian citizens. They're showing, like, look at America. Look what they're doing. They're, literally, again, our main topic right now is fighting over what to call our genitals or what we could do with them.
This is
And-
idiocracy. This is a stupid show. Planet Earth is going stupid.
And so Putin's quite smart by framing it that way, but that is the general consensus of who they're fighting.
It's
That's
like the
the
big
West.
enders and little enders on Gulliver's Travels. What do y'all fight about? Well, they eat from the big end of the egg, and we eat from the little end of the egg.
Yeah, so let's say hypothetically in the future, Russia actually won this war, and they write the victors write the history books. They'll actually say that they were fighting for their way of life, which is more traditional values, and that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and they can and the institution that procreates is a marriage, and that's what they'll say that they were fighting for in a that's what I
Yes,
feel.
no, that's 100% accurate, and I don't think we're aware of that. It's the same value system that we had or have, majority of our country has. So, yeah, it's just not cut and dry. In fact, the perfect example of how they want us to frame it and think of it was when Trump was recently interviewed by the CNN lady, and she's like, "Are you for or with Putin or not?" She only wanted a yes or no, for or against. But his answer, thankfully, was what it
so
should be, which
stupid.
is, "I'm for
should've-
life.
yeah, okay,
I'm for life. I'm not either side. I'm for life."
Okay, so this was in the town hall. Trump was it MSNBC or CNN?
The CNN one.
CNN.
You're
It was
talking about the
okay.
famous CNN one.
Yeah,
I could
so
talk
the
for
CNN,
days.
the CNN town hall, she asked Trump, "Do you want Ukraine to win this war?" Well, his response should have been, "Can you please define what a Ukraine victory would even look like? Does that mean retake Crimea? They've been there since 2014. These idiots don't. They think this war started a year ago. So it's like they can't even define a victory. They just know we should be at war with Russia.
And even a victory is a scary word because how many how many Russian people had to die for a Ukraine victory? It's still life. Anyway, so I think his answer was perfect, which is the least amount of human
I want
life.
people to stop dying. I wish he
Yes,
would. I wish he would have grilled her and knocked her off her high horse and be like, "What? Can you define a Ukrainian victory?"
And that's the problem with Trump is he speaks in his way, which is he wins the mass audience, but he doesn't make points like you're making.
But it's
you would win the logic war.
Okay, I'll answer your question as soon as I know what you're asking, and so to know what you're asking, I need to know the definition of Ukrainian victory, and because Zelensky's talking about retaking Crimea, so
and they've been okay. And so to let that sit, you're saying he wants to take a country that's been with Russia for 9 years. Do you think that they really want to go? I mean, Russell, can you answer that? Because you've lived there.
Well, I mean, they came in and took it without any shots fired in 2014, and it's been Russia ever since. So it's going to be a lot. Plus, Russia's going to be much more justified using nukes in response because they're going to view that as like an attack on Russia proper versus occupied Ukraine. Attacking Russians in occupied Ukraine is viewed differently. So like if we go and attack Moscow right now, they're probably going to respond differently. So like is Crimea like a half of Russian proper, or is it all Rush? Is it an attack on Crimea the same as an attack on Moscow? So I don't know. I just feel like if they actually got to where they retook all of the occupied Ukraine, like 2022 Ukraine, and then they got more ambitious, which Zelensky says he's going to do, and then go to retake Crimea. Like at that point, I feel like Russia would hit back even harder with, I don't know, tactical nukes on Kiev, maybe.
Has anybody blown up anything behind Russian lines? Like, has anybody gone into old Mother
Yeah,
Russia?
but they've denied it. So they had they flew choppers super duper low and blew up like a oil well or oil storage
Refinery
facility.
or something?
Yeah, in Russia proper, and then they busted a U and got back to Ukraine, but then they denied. So they denied it, and then more recently there was like stuff that like an individual could do with like a bomb went into like a high value target around in the outskirts of Moscow and detonated it. But then like again, like no one in Ukraine's like, oh, it wasn't us, So it must have been a Russian domestic terrorist. So there's nothing that's happened in Russia that Ukraine takes responsibility for, because like they're trying to thread a needle too, because they don't want to. They're taking all these weapons from America with the understanding we're not going to send them over the border, or they're not going to send them over the border, even though they have the capability to. Like some of these HIMAR artillery, or even the Patriot missiles that are meant to shoot down other missiles.
Mm-hmm.
Those can go. One of those got into Poland, so one of those went into Poland, and Ukraine was like, "Look what Russia did," and then there's debris. They analyzed it all, and it turns out it was Ukrainians like Patriot missile or whatever. So anyway, whatever question you asked, did I answer it? The war is like they don't have a lot of resources left. I don't see how this, Ukraine's running out. Both sides are like, man, they're just dumping bodies into this war, and like America seems like we're only giving them just enough weapons.
Well, England just gave them some. I mean,
But it's
part
like
of Europe is helping.
I ain't giving them my tank.
It's a trickle. It's like we're giving them a trickle, like 20 tanks here, but like we're not giving them enough to actually like the front lines aren't moving. It's like they're looking. They want the war to prolong. They're trying to prolong the war as much as possible, so they're calculating the right amount of weapons to do that.
By design.
If we don't do them many weapons, Russia's going to win. But if we give them too many weapons, they may push them back. So
I guess to summarize the point is that the lady asked Trump at the town hall about the war, and you just gave a little commentary, which is you have to pay attention, but it's complicated. So yeah, I wish, obviously his response was the best you can give because everybody wants a dumbed down answer, and it was the right one, which is human life matters.
he wants people to stop dying.
Yeah, human life matters, and
Which means
actually, I hate to.
Which means a peace agreement, which means Russia claiming at least more than Crimea, which, Russia claims Crimea is Russia. They have been like doing so since 2014. So that means that and at least, the Donetsk and Luhansk region of Ukraine, so even more. So they're going to have to give up even more land.
Yeah, I guess despite how much you may hate Trump, you could argue that if you valued human life, he's the one president that didn't take us to war and abide in the military industrial complex, which I'd say 90 to 80% of the people would probably agree that we're here because of the industrial complex. Halliburton, Lockheed Martin, everything, whether they own stocks in these companies or they have these backdoor broker deals. But I do think this forever war, proxy war, will continue, sadly, at the cost of human life. It's just that simple. And when you ask my friend from Moldova, who's, for you guys that don't know, that's a former Soviet Union country, that's exactly what she would say. Dad asked her the other day, and her mom, what do you think? Her mom is now here, kind of taking refuge out of Moldova here. It borders Ukraine, guys, just so you know. And their answer was that, which is the rich people will continue to play war, and they're just going to continue. That's it. It's just a bunch of rich people having their way.
Same story over and over.
What's interesting about this war is if you watch the Hunger Games, how they have like the propaganda films and they'll stage that girl going out in the battle and like shooting stuff with her bow, and then they post that on like in the movie what would be like social media today. Well, that's actually going on like in real life. They have like, I mean, if you haven't noticed, like all the stuff you see on social media, like more Ukraine than Russia. Ukraine's much better at the propaganda than, and not to call it propaganda, some of it is just a raw footage of some battle or something. But I mean, look at Zelensky's, like the speeches he gives and with like some crazy background, and he wears like the t-shirt and plays a tough guy. I don't know. It's just, it seems like
he's done that spiel hundreds of times. And what I mean by spiel, which is, I heard on the radio the other day, one president from one country over and over again. Oh, we'd like to thank you so much, President Zelensky, for your courage, your honor. And he has to give the same thing. Thank you. I accept your support. I mean, I've heard it so many times. It is kind of like, do you not see it for what it is? It's some type of show. It's like you're saying, it's like a show.
I tell you what's not a show. I saw a video of Ukrainian tanks coming up on a trench with some Russian soldiers in it. And war is hell for both sides. I mean, those people this shit breaks my heart, really. I mean, both sides, those people have wives, children, their fathers, they have mothers. And there's like 6 or 7 Russian dudes who I promise you don't want to be there. They don't want to be there. They're in this trench, and this Ukrainian tank is coming up on this trench firing main gun shells at it. So like 120 millimeter HE rounds into this trench, and you can see the drone footage. You can see them hiding and huddling together, and the tank is just working its way up, and you see them throwing grenades. They don't really want to get out of the trench and look, obviously, so they're assuming maybe infantry is coming, but there's no infantry around. But the tank just keeps getting closer and closer, and it just lines up long ways in the trench and just lowers that cannon, and there's like 6 guys there and just explodes them. And I honestly want to throw up when I see that, man, because for what? What if Putin is saying it's over genitalia and America losing their, well, that's retarded. That doesn't make any sense. And I get, they're fighting. They're saying, hey, this is our land. You're invading us.
Yes.
I'm on the other side of the world, and I'm busy on my own stuff. I can't speak intelligently about about that, but the heartbreak is real. There's real people dying right now today, and I couldn't even tell you what for. And I'll bet you some of those guys over there couldn't even tell you what for.
Russell could give you more accurate 3-sentenced what for.
If you think about, like, from the perspective of, let's say, someone who's, like, let's say as far away from a military fighting age male could be, like, let's say an 80-year-old woman that lives there. She might have the perspective that, I mean, she's going to have an opinion, but let's say hypothetically she could have the perspective is just like, there's this group of people and there's this group of people, and they both want to control the area that I live in, and there's this government behind them, and that's basically what it boils down to.
And one government said back in 1992 and many years ago, this is the line, don't cross it. And then over years, the lines have been crossed. I mean, that really is how easy it boils down to. What is Putin doing?
But that's
he said years ago, this is our line, don't cross it. And we've crossed it.
That's why
we're all kinds of crazy shit since then.
That's what made this war unique, is we haven't had like a land claiming war in a long time. Because think about all the stuff America's been involved in. It was never like an invasion where like, this is now America. Like, this is like some medieval stuff.
No, that's what
Actually,
I mean.
you're
This is
right.
not
It's
medieval.
territorial.
This is World War II. This is, hey, there's trenches. These are boundaries. These are front lines. Literally front lines.
But no, I disagree, because in World War II, like, when you retook land, did you say, well, this is now another country? Or did you just retake the land? It was all like like when Germany, when Germany got defeated, did it become a new country by who defeated it? You know what I mean?
No, but when Germany was taking places.
Yeah, right. From the German perspective, when they invaded somewhere, they're like, this is now Germany. So you are right. So it was okay. So from that perspective, Russia would be the Nazis, I guess. But like, yeah. So there's video of this. Whenever they take a city, I mean, sadly, when they retake like these villages, there's like nothing but rubble left.
Yeah.
But they go find like the one government building, and they'll go take down the Ukrainian flag, and they put up the Russian flag. Like, this is now Russia.
That's what the Germans did.
Yeah.
Roll into France, and swastikas were flying everywhere.
Yeah. Some of our family members think that the Russians are the good guys, and they're thinking that, well, like all this stuff about, it's Ukrainians shelling their own troops, that so Ukraine's bad, and it's a false flag against their own troops. And I'm like, I don't know. So just me being logical about that, as far as like Mariupol went, they were surrounded and cut off for 80-something days. There's drone footage of a city of 100,000 people, and there's not a roof left on the building. And I was like, Russia doesn't deny shelling them. So, like, clearly, if they're responsible for destroying a city, like all of the city,
So
it's just the whole city's rubble.
What happened to the 100,000 inhabitants? Like, half survived?
Well, they had 80-something days to, take caravans out. But, like, it got to the point, and we've actually talked about this on the podcast, where they were dropping those leaflets. They were shelling them with those, saying, look, you got to get out. Like, this is, and it ended with them being like there was some, and this is the Azov battalion, which is the one that actually has a Nazi logo on the.
Like the SS or what?
No, it's more of a swastika, but it's like angled, but it is a swastika.
So they don't even deny it. They're like, yeah, we're Nazis.
Russia? No, they're fighting
the
the
Ukrainians.
Nazis.
I'm saying the Ukrainian
or
group.
the Ukraine.
Because there was a little bastion of Nazis in Ukraine, right?
Yeah,
Of course.
the
yeah.
Azov battalion, and they were the ones that held them off at Mariupol.
Well, we don't talk about them, do we?
No, we sure don't. When I
They even do this. It's
No,
weird.
yeah. When I
not-
was in Ukraine, when I visited Russell there, it was they definitely didn't support homosexuality. Now this is kind of more normal because they're very traditional. When I entered some of the church buildings, they had aprons/skirts that you would put on. Like, as a woman, I probably had jeans on that day. they had me wear an apron just to be respectful. And of course, I wore a head covering. Now, that's very normal in an Orthodox church. But yeah, it was definitely backwards. I don't know why our woke patrol decided to like Ukraine, because I'm like, they have none of your ideology.
It's money.
They're not even okay with gay people, and that was 2017. Like, what's wrong with them? No.
If you go to my
They're just
Instagram,
backwards.
there's actually footage of them marching with tiki torches down the streets in Kiev, and they've got the leader on like he's dead now, but from the Nazi days. I'm not saying they're proper Nazis, but there was a split off of the German Nazis. Forget that guy's name, Bernard something or another. I'm trying to look it up.
George Bernard Shaw.
No.
I know.
How did we get sidetracked on Ukraine?
I don't know. I
Because
feel like Jennifer needs to say
I
something.
know, me
here,
too. I'm
and-
like,
and-
we should
but I'm like,
switch to a good topic
what,
after
what
this.
do you got
But
for us on Ukraine,
to-
Jennifer?
I have nothing.
Okay, I guess I
Because
just
you're a
want,
normal American living a life, raising 3 kids, and for you, it's something you hear on the news once in a while on the other side of the world, which is sad because there's people's lives are being destroyed, and we're over here just pretty much living normal lives, just
But
complaining about everything going up in price.
what's scary is 1/3 of normal Americans like Jennifer take what the media is saying about the war as complete, like
like
Bible,
it's true.
like the Bible.
I don't think any of that's true. They stopped talking about it, so they forgot it even was going on.
Well, for me, I have 3 children and I'm very, very busy and I don't even turn the TV on.
Do you want to know how many days this year your tax dollars went to the war? Because I can tell you
Tell
that.
me. Have it.
21 days, which is one full month, because typically you have about 20 work days in a calendar. They did that we have done studies where we found out that 20 work days, so that's 1 month, 21 work days, 1 month of your work goes to support the military industrial complex based on how we're taxed and how the money is being spent. Because obviously, I think we've spent like 140 billion already. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, just on the Ukraine war, but our spending budget for the military industrial complex, all of us work 1 month for it comes out based on how we're taxed.
You know what's funny? When I was a little kid, I was into explosives and guns and all that stuff, and it is so funny, the irony. I'm like off on the side watching the scene. But as a little kid, I was always told, you'll never make any money in that. There's no money in that, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here laughing.
No money in
because
what?
it's literally in the weapons industry. And I'm like, it is the industry of the world. And yet as a kid, I was told, you'll never make it.
And that was the 90s, mind you, which was like when it was booming.
Well,
Like
it's because it's in the background. You know why there's roads all across America? It ain't so you can see Granny. It's so we can mobilize troops. You know why we get oil out of the ground? It ain't so you can go visit the beach. It's so we can move tanks. It's what, guys, I'm sorry, but we killed people better than anything else we do. Better than medicine, better than education, better than art. It's sad. It's really freaking sad, but the best thing we know how to do is build weapons to annihilate each other.
Yeah, I used to not understand what Matt's saying right now until I watched him teach a police class recently to our local police department, just like giving them an update on like, hey, this is what explosives look like. And when he started talking about the intricacies they've put onto weapons to kill people and how they detonate or explode or shoot, and he was showing them, I was like, oh my God, this is awful. That thing's like, like it'll detonate in 3 different ways based on where you're
It's
at.
made to kill you no matter where you are, and it makes me sick. I love the chemistry and the science behind explosives, but they can be used for getting oil out of the ground or busting rock to put in a structure. It doesn't have to be for killing. It's sad. Like even the rifles, I love to shoot. I have never killed a person. I love the sport of shooting. You're taking an object that takes 120, 150 grains of metal, and it puts it where you aim it. Where you aim it. I aim it at paper. I aim it at tin cans. It's a sport. It's a challenge. Okay, can I hit that target? You have to work on your breathing. You have to work on your muscle control
And
to
you
hit
could
that
feed your
target.
family.
That's not true.
What's not true?
Joe Biden says guns come out of their
bullshit.
cases at night and shoot people.
Yeah, I know. We've all heard that. But the truth is, the truth is that's not true.
And the
It's
truth
just,
is you could actually keep your family alive and also feed them. So you could ward off people that wanted to kill you, or feed your family with the sport that you are now describing.
yeah, it's a freaking sport. But it's a weapon.
Sport
It's
for
a tool.
survival, though.
It's just like martial arts. There are people that go every day to train in martial arts that have never beat the shit out of anybody. They can use it for what? For the betterment of their body, for the mind, body, soul connection, and exercising that. And at the same time, if need be, they can use it to defend. And that's what a firearm is. I hate that that humans are hell bent on destroying each other.
We got to get these guns out of the hands of citizens, because all these the direction this country's going, I don't think it could ever actually get there if with an armed populace. For example, you're not going to accept a CBDC until you're disarmed.
What does that
What is a
stand
CBDC?
A central bank digital currency.
I'm not going to accept it. Oh, I won't accept that until I'm disarmed.
Well, yeah.
Well, so if I were to give you if I were to say, hey, you mind if I pay you with CBDC, and I pay you with that, and be like, I don't know what they're going to say, but it's probably going to expire in 3 days. Which means if you don't re-spend this money in 3 days, it's gone, or it's programmed. Like they can make up.
Can I buy ammo with it?
What's your social credit score?
Oh, it's real good.
Maybe.
Matt, let me ask you this: can you buy ammo easily using PayPal, eBay, and all the other websites right now? Probably, if it's already regulated, it's probably not going to be so.
Can
easy.
you buy
friend
ammo on the internet?
Yeah, hell yeah, you can buy ammo on the
Yes,
internet. I bought a pallet
but-
of it. It comes in an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, but doesn't PayPal and all these websites put restrictions?
They do.
and
They do.
eBay
The
and-
big banks have infringed on our Second Amendment right. That's right. They have.
What was that? Midwest? I forget the name of the major gun store.
Midwest Shooter Supply?
Yeah, can you get ammo there still?
I haven't checked. I don't buy ammo from them, but I'm sure you can.
Can you go on a everyday common website and buy ammo in a
Yes,
corner
and I use my
store?
credit card.
Well, how do they get around the ID thing?
Well, I had to, okay.
Well,
So, for instance,
ammo.
let me answer this.
Well, first off, you're put
For
on
a-
a terrorist list. I assume
For
that's
hold on a
good.
second. I just bought 27,000 rounds of ammunition. Comes in a pallet because I got machine guns. They eat a lot of ammo, and we rent those out. That's
You're not a
why.
regular person.
Okay,
though.
but I'm telling you,
you don't matter.
So I filled out a form with my driver's license. It showed my age. I gave my credit card number, and they shipped a pallet of ammunition.
That's
to
pretty
me.
cool to hear. I mean, not cool. Sorry, everyone. Oh, it is interesting, I should say, to hear that he bought 27,000 rounds. No one asked why. He just gave him his credit card and his ID and said it. And on his way.
Yeah. Now I want to know, Jennifer, because you haven't said much in this whole thing. You, I know for a fact, are packing heat most places you go. Can you tell me about that? Why you do it? What you pack? And what are your thoughts?
I have a 380 is what I carry most of the time.
Okay.
And I carry that one because it doesn't weigh very much and weigh down my purse. However, a lot of times I'm alone with my children and their distractions. So I have my eye out and watch people. I'm willing to defend myself and my children. So
Oh.
Have you taken a class?
I have my carry license, concealed
Okay.
carry license that's no longer required in Texas, but I have that. Yeah, took
Okay.
the class.
What do you do to make sure that your children don't get a hold of that firearm?
They know, well, it sounds easy, but it's not. It sounds maybe I should do a little more. They know to not touch it, but it stays away from them.
Do you carry it on your person?
Not you. I mean, it's in my purse.
Oh, okay.
Usually,
So,
yeah,
but-
not on me unless I feel concerned about where I'm at, like a gas station. Certain ones I've gotten out. I'm like, it's kind of scary around here, so I will tuck it in my pants while I pump gas, and I will be looking all around me. Just-
Yeah.
But
and-
if you're in your car, where is it? It's in your purse in your car?
I have one in my purse and then one somewhere else in my car.
Oh, good. Okay.
Easily accessible.
But not for the kids.
No, the kids can't get to it. No.
Okay.
And then it's pointed in a safe direction
And it's
and all that stuff. Yeah, no, they don't.
Do you do any of those lock boxes that you throw like your hand on and it reads your fingerprint really quickly and gives you quick access? Say no, none of
I
that.
didn't know that was a thing.
Too fancy.
No, the ones in our house are not loaded
For-
or any of that.
For folks with kids that are like very proactive carriers, that's what they have to resort to. There's something that they can't get, like a very small. It's the size of the gun, and that's the size. They have those like mounted in their vehicle on the
I didn't know that was a
nightstand.
thing.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I
What do you do in your house for protection? Like if you were asleep at 3:00 in the morning and somebody's busting in the door, what do you do?
I'm not prepared because they're not loaded because I have children.
Okay, but they will be after this in case somebody hears that.
Instant access safe.
Well, if my purse is in the house, then yeah.
Yeah, her
Me-
purse has it.
Yeah, my purse is in the house, so I could get it that way. However, my purse is.
So this is
Closer
one
to the
time
door
where I'm
than
going to
it
go
is.
on record. I actually agree with Joe Biden. Get a shotgun. because at 3:00 in the morning, I can barely find the toilet to stick my catheter in. Okay. An AR-15 is putting out a little bitty bullet for that. A shotgun is more of a to whom it may concern.
Joe Biden says just shoot it through the door.
Yeah, don't do that. You might hit a kid.
And some kid went to some old man's house because of the races the media picked up on the story because of the ethnicities of the people involved, and he did exactly what Joe Biden said. He shot it through. He shot the
We had, this is not a danger, but we have a raccoon that likes to come visit, and it was on the porch last night. And
My mama just sweeps some coons off with a broom. Remember that?
no.
Forrest Gump. Go ahead.
It sounded like Forrest Gump, but I don't recall that part. My thought is, well, I don't really want to shoot it on the porch because I'm going to blow a hole through my porch, and I don't really want to do that. So we have a plan tonight. One of us is going to see that it's there, and then the other one will run outside and go around the front, because every time I opened the door last night to check out the raccoon with no weapon, it ran off and ran under the porch. So we got to attack it from behind.
Wait a second.
And then shoot it while it's under the
We have a
Hold on.
plan. It runs like off the porch and then under it before I can even.
So what's the plan?
Thanks.
What's this person that runs around the back going to do?
Yeah, shoot at the house.
There-
Doesn't sound good.
No.
depends on how
but
mad you
Just
are.
wait,
at
wait,
the
I wanna
raccoon.
hear
he
this.
could like as the raccoon is running off the porch, he will shoot it from.
From where?
There's like a split
The yard.
second when it jumps off the porch to go under the porch.
But it'll-
Literally a split
The
second.
shot will be shot towards the house, though, which is hilarious.
no,
No,
it'll
you're
be
on the
shot
side of
towards
the
the
house
ground.
and you're
All
shooting
right.
parallel to the house
Towards
wall.
the ground.
This is what people in the city will never understand. So
but you
that
have to take out the raccoon, or it will go chill.
you're going to kill all your chickens again
And we
because
have
you already
baby
lost your
chicks.
chickens.
Yes, we lost all of them in one night because
Yeah.
the raccoon dug under there.
Okay, so you're going to smoke this raccoon. What weapon are you going to use?
A gun?
Well, duh, not a cannon.
Well, I don't know. Whatever's going to take it out.
Okay,
I don't know.
shot.
Have a few choices.
All right. So, but still don't understand. Somebody's gonna run out the back door of your house.
I'm going to just cut the light. Cut the light on the porch just to make sure it's there.
Y'all gonna have your underwear on? This is funny.
I mean, we'll see.
This is the country living.
I mean,
Oh, I've shot
I
shit
did
naked
not have
before.
clothes on last night when I went out. I was like shooing it off the porch. Actually, I opened the door and it ran off the porch. And I cut the light on. I was like, well, I hope nobody drives
could-
by because
you-
my porch light is on.
You
and
could,
I'm not dressed.
You could just trap it and then take it out in the open field and let it go where it's free and
Why?
then shoot it.
Comes back. Well, then
Volt.
set it free, but kill it. Yeah, that's what
I know
Set it
someone
free.
that does
it dies
exactly that. Exactly that.
May,
It ain't right just shooting it in a cage.
No, that would.
It's kind of
Is that your dad?
It's true.
Okay, well, hey, we still have
Shoot it
your
like a
son's
proper
trap, so let's
sportsman.
do that. We'll trap it on the porch.
You ain't
But
gonna
then-
trap it.
No,
Just
that
shoot
cat.
it,
The
but
cat will go in.
I'm just curious about where the shooter is going to be with respect to you.
I'll be in the house.
Oh, you're just going to go out and then run back in?
No, I'll just keep my eye on it. Cut the light
Y'all
on.
going to shoot the damn car. I can't wait
Yeah,
to see
no, we're
tomorrow
not.
what's got a
No,
hole
we're not.
in it.
Well, you could update us on the next podcast if you ever shot this raccoon. I do think it's interesting. I don't personally plan to own a gun, but
Oh,
I recently went to Austin, and thanks to our changed homeless policy, it did feel. And I used to live in Austin 8 years. I left in 2011. So since 2011, it definitely, and I left and went to, I lived in Los Angeles, so I know what it's like to live in a city with homeless people. That, as a woman, you feel you're questioning your safety, not because they're homeless. No, I'm not saying that, but because they're doing irregular behavior. Doesn't matter the gender; it's just your very irregular, erratic, I'd say, behavior. So that's like Austin is covered in that. And what I like about Texas is, we talked about this when we were there recently with Matt. You could show a gun to someone. So I don't think what never is in gun statistics is the amount of crime that's stopped by just having a gun. So by just showing the gun, like I wish we would have done it to this homeless guy the other day, because he was first we
Well,
walked.
that's brandishing a weapon.
First, he was punching the air for a while having conversations with himself for a long time, and he was asked to leave many times by the gas station attendant, and it was very scary, and it was very sad to watch regular women walk past. I mean, it just wasn't a good situation. Then he came and stared at us in our car, and I was like, oh, this isn't good. While we're waiting on Matt, anyways. Now, I'm not saying you need to, whether it's homeless people or someone that has ill will intention
Well,
for you. Showing
yeah.
a gun pretty much ends everything.
The problem with those gun statistics is, okay, there's 20,000 people killed by firearm. A huge percentage are suicide, which is unfortunate and sad, but they were
think the
determined to
most
kill
of them,
themselves.
yep.
Then there is the
Chicago.
percentage of people that had accidents with guns, okay? And accidents are going to happen with cars and drugs and everything under the sun. So there's accidents with guns. And then there were the people that needed to be shot,
No, this is
okay? And they
you're-
count that
you're
as a gun
forgetting
death.
the largest gun death and the largest mass shootings, because I think that recent gun shooting we had was number 200 or something, or maybe 2,000. I actually lose track. The majority of all of our gun violence is Chicago. It's very easy. They have the biggest and they have the most gun laws, and sadly, it's black on black crime. It's even children are being shot with these stray bullets.
When I say
they
that
don't
people
want to talk
needed it-
about it, they don't want to address it, they don't want to do anything about it.
When I say people needed to be shot, I mean that somebody like Jennifer here defended herself
Yes.
from somebody breaking in the house. And then you have just plain old gun violence. You got what you're talking about,
Yes,
Chicago,
and that's
where
the majority of
people
our
are shooting
mass
each other.
shootings. Yeah.
And so these numbers, though, when you hear that 20,000 people killed by guns, it's killed by people using firearms. And a lot of them are people killing themselves. A lot of them are people that needed to be shot because they were about to rape somebody or kill somebody. And some of them were accidents. Some guy cleaning a gun shoots himself. But you're right. They never show the statistic because there's no way to know it.
You wouldn't
Of
know it.
how many crimes have been
Prevented.
stopped because somebody just pulled a gun up and the guy was like, okay, I'm out of here.
I think there's things you can look at. So when you look at a victim disarmament zone such as Chicago, can you compare it to, let's say, Houston, where people aren't disarmed? You can get an idea of the deterrent that guns have.
The problem is recently the mall shooting in Texas is that the people that are open carrying or closed carrying aren't at the mall. I mean, it's true. It's like a victim. Well, let's be real. Have you seen who goes to the mall lately? It ain't your gun-toting Texans. And I say that with a joke because I just came from West Texas where people are still wearing spurs because they literally are like wearing
On horses?
They are literally on horses. They are gun-toting Texans. They're not at the malls. But yeah, I thought every time there is a Texas shooting, I'm always like, how did that happen? Because so many people are closed
it
carrying.
happened where the Texas gun guys are not.
Yes,
It
or the
happened at a
Texas gun
school.
women, such as Jennifer. Now, I'm
Yeah.
curious, what would you do if you were at a Walmart, you had your gun, and there was an issue with a shooter? Would you
Oh,
use
I
yours?
would defend myself, yeah, for sure.
Not even just defend
Or
yourself.
everybody
I'm asking,
else.
would
I
you
feel like
defend the
as a carrier,
store?
It's
Yes.
my
If-
job to.
I want to know, what does your gut tell you? If you're at Walmart and you're checking out shoes for your kids, and all of a sudden you hear gunshots, what does your gut say? And there's no judgment either way. Are you going to just crouch somewhere? Are you going to go find where's the gun coming from because you have a firearm and you can stop this and save people? What are you going to do?
Well, first, if my children are with me, I'm gonna make sure they're completely safe. If I'm close to a door, I'm going out with my children.
Okay.
My children come first before everybody in the store. Sorry, but
Yeah,
It's
right,
okay,
fair
Mommy
enough.
Bear.
so, but if absolutely, I mean, I'm not gonna go. Probably not gonna run towards it because I'm gonna get out with my children.
Yeah.
But your Instagram would be
think-
lit if you shoot that
I think
guy.
that's what an expert would say. That would be the correct thing to do, like a quote unquote instructor.
Oh, yeah, get
Which
away.
is
So-
just get away.
Which
I-
exactly what she said to do.
But what if
would
your
be what I said.
children?
first.
Okay, so let's just remove your children now from the situation. Now, what do you do?
See, I have pictured this a lot, or I've considered this or thought it, because especially when all the movie theater shootings were happening, every time after that, a lot of times I would go in, I would pay attention to where I sat. I'm like, I need to make sure, my kids can hide. And I would absolutely, if a gunman came in there and started shooting, I would pull mine out and shoot back for sure. I mean, I would make sure nobody was, in between us, but I would want to take them out just because that'll keep them from killing so many other people and potentially me.
Sure. It's just so sad that you, as a mom of three, actually think about that when you go to a theater. I'm glad you do. Should. But yeah, I mean,
Shouldn't have
what's
to,
the
right?
alternative? Going in there and thinking, well, I could hide real good. That is
I
not a
know,
response.
because you cannot hide well enough. You have to take them out before they kill everybody else.
No,
Because
and
I
everybody you
couldn't
save
live
would
with
thank you.
myself. I couldn't live with myself if I just let everybody get shot up because I was too scared to pull out my gun and shoot back. Like I would shoot back.
Thank
So
God.
it sounds
You're an
like
American
most
woman.
people that are carrying, and I would like to say that most people I know that carry have the exact same spirit. They're not just unresponsible rednecks. It is
Y'all seen that
Agreed.
video of that shooter in a church?
Oh yeah,
He walks in and smokes one guy, and then there's overhead footage where you got to pause and you're going to circle every guy drawing a gun, and he gets smoked by another
quickly.
Guy. Yeah,
Where
quick.
was this at? In Texas?
I forget where. A rural.
It was in Texas.
Yeah, it was in Texas, a church, but there was a lot of people carrying in that church. So this guy tried to make what a church into like a mass shooting school type location
in Texas.
He got away, I think, he got one shot. It may not even been that. So. But within seconds he was down. That guy that shot him though, not only was it a headshot, this guy's small little carry pistol, and he was really far away, like across the whole church.
I saw the video. He draws,
but
puts it on him and knocks him down.
But that's not what's interesting about the video. I had someone else replay the video on YouTube. I saw this and they paused it and they said, "Okay, yeah, that happened. But look at this. Another guy drawn. Another guy drawn.
Yeah.
There's all these other guys.
All these backup.
All these other guys pulling their
Wow.
pistols
And
out."
I think what's important to state for most of you, like myself, if you've never shot a gun, Hollywood makes it look easy. It is not easy. To hit something within a 2-foot range is absolutely hard. So to hit a person, which is usually a foot, to hit something within 6 feet is hard.
You hear these liberals
Like
say,
6 feet
"Why didn't
wide
you just
is
shoot
what
him
I'm
in
saying.
the leg, or shoot him in the hand, or
God.
shoot the gun out of his
Like,
hand?"
you
It's like
not
go
know-
shoot and then you'll know. So I want to jump in
yes.
here real quick because you say that, and it brings up what Michael Moore said after one of those theater shootings that you're talking about. He said, the average gun owner thinks that when they're 4 or 5 or 6 seats away from this shooter that they're going to be able to take him out. And that kind of stress, you can't do that. And I'm sitting here saying, in the age we are in now, where you can't judge anybody for anything, how dare him judge what the average American gun owner does? Trust me, we shoot our guns, and don't tell me what we can or can't do. Trust me, 7 theater seats away on my worst day, with my worst pistol, I can hit a human object. So, and what you're telling me, Michael, that I don't go out and shoot all the time and train?
But what
and you
his,
tell me
what
Jennifer
his
does
point
it?
is valid is the point I'm making, which is it's actually very hard to hit a target. Like
Beth,
when I
you're
mean
speaking
6
from
feet,
somebody
I'm
who
saying 6
shoots
feet
very
wide.
little. Very little. Beth, how many times have you shot
So
guns?
you're saying most people that are carrying are actually
They actually shoot.
practiced, or would you say regulated? They are well
they
regulated.
they are well regulated, and that means like your body, you're well regulated. You train, okay?
Yes.
You exercise. That's what that word means. Not government regulation. It means you exercise it. Well regulated means to use.
And guys, he's referencing our Second Amendment,
Yeah.
just so you know. Yeah. Okay. All right. I just did want to make that point. I don't shoot a lot, but it's increasingly hard. So when you do see someone when someone actually successfully takes out someone, it's pretty impressive.
It is impressive, but those people who are carrying firearms go out and use them for the most part.
And
There's
that
a
is
lot of people that
actually
do.
why those mass shooters are awful. I mean, I hate to say this, but if you ever wonder why mass shooters are never really that successful, I mean, they're not well practiced or
Bullets
regulated.
to bodies ratio is
It's
terrible.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it truly is. I shouldn't
It's like the
laugh,
most
but it's-
ineffective
we're
killing
all
machine
thinking
ever.
it.
Get on an 18-wheeler.
You always wonder, like, how did he? Well, I shouldn't say.
How did
it,
you
but
miss
we're all
that
thinking,
much?
Yes, this is literally what people are thinking. I think, sadly, the Las Vegas shooting, the guy up from a hotel that shot down into a concert, I think that was actually one of the first time that they were. Sadly, was
It was effective because he had the density of the crowd in his favor. He couldn't miss.
Right.
Did y'all see the Tennessee the footage where those guys went in? So this was right after the Uvalde shooting, where there's video footage of these guys lurking around in the hall for about 30, 45 minutes doing nothing.
Oh, that was awful.
They get the hand sanitizer
got
on the way in the door.
They literally, while children
Who are
were
you talking about?
dying,
Good guys or bad
Uvalde.
guys?
No,
What
this
is
is.
this?
I would like to again place blame. We were talking about the Uvalde Police Department that did not let parents go see their child, and meanwhile they waited in the hallway and sanitized their hands. Oh, God.
I
It's on
thought he was
video.
talking about Tennessee.
They waited 45 minutes, Matt. Just so you know, children are dying. Meanwhile, bleeding to death. They're waiting,
So after
not doing what their job
After
is.
the
which is to
Uvalde-
charge the building,
the Uvalde police showed people what not to do,
which is wait.
Beth, was it Tennessee?
Yeah, we had a really accurate response after that on the next mass shooting in America.
So there's body cam footage of the dude. Dude just rolls up. He already has the key. He yells out to two other guys. He said, "I need
Was
two."
Tennessee.
He opens the door. They immediately start clearing rooms. They hear shots upstairs. They change their direction, go upstairs, smoke the guy, and that was it.
Yes.
They immediately went after him.
Hell
Fuck
And
yeah.
clearing rooms. I mean, these guys, based on what I saw from uniform versus like not uniform, like these guys weren't like SWAT team that trained together, but even despite that, they were working really well, clearing rooms together.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
They basically took the handbook of what happened in Uvalde not to do and did it. So do you know, back to Uvalde,
that was the
guy that was
transgender
getting,
one that
yes,
has yet, we can't see his manifesto, but this was the transgender student that went in, the transgender mass shooter. This is why you don't know about it. It's because we stopped talking about it real
back to
fast.
We were just in
Uvalde,
West
I do want to
Texas.
say back to Uvalde, the guy that did take out the shoot. No, it's important to know this, Matt. We have it on video. The policeman that decided to hang out in the hallways wasn't the guy that took out the killer. The guy that took out the killer was actually getting his hair cut,
I heard about that.
left the salon, took the gun from the salon owner,
Which is hilarious.
and shot the guy and penetrated the building and shot the guy. So it wasn't even the policeman. And I do think, sadly, it's kind of weird. I realize as we're talking about this, there's so many mass shootings in America. We're talking about it like sports. They learned from the Uvalde shooting to have an accurate, better response on the Tennessee shooting, which we don't know about because Russell made the point that that person, that
The
I'm gonna
transgender
call them
shooter
all
with a
mentally ill.
manifesto that was that they don't want us to see.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well,
Well, I guess because they don't want us to think that. So there was a day of vengeance, like a trans day of vengeance, not too long ago. They don't want us to think that they're a violent group
Well,
that will kill us if.
actually, do you realize that's also why the Bud Light debacle grew? There's many reasons the Bud Light was like the best domino setup, and it was because they did the trans thing right after the trans had killed the Christians. Remember there was also a Christian school with kids. Anyways,
We should never
was-
base
it
all
was-
our beliefs and hopes on the fact that one of our own crazies won't do something. That's what's sad. They don't want to let the manifesto out because it makes their side look bad.
There was a second
But if it was
trans
some
shooting.
white dude that was a neo-Nazi, we'd be hearing about it every day. But here's the sad truth. On every belief system there is, you have a small fraction
Yeah.
of fringe, nutso crazy people willing to actually kill. But one of the interesting thoughts I had was all these people, think about this though, all the people out there that are anti-gun and don't want you to have guns and all this, imagine they were in a scenario getting blasted. They saw their best friend's head shot off, brains everywhere, and all of a sudden Mom Jennifer here comes in, puts the shooter down, and saves the day.
Oh,
I
we're
bet
not
you
gonna
that
re-
individual,
we're not gonna
that,
report on
that
that
individual
story.
is going to have a come to Jesus moment
actually,
about
Matt,
their thoughts.
Russell made a great point. That story is probably happening across America
And
in
you
the
don't
last
hear about
3
it.
decades, and we will never hear
You'll
about
never
it.
hear about it.
Then I mean,
What are the races as well? Like if a white dude choked out a white guy on the subway in New York,
Who cares?
you're not going to hear about it.
Let's get in a fight.
Change one of those person's ethnicities, protest in the streets.
No, change it
what
a
were you
specific
going to
way.
cut? You were saying no. You were going to say something.
Oh, well,
about
like
it.
you're
I'm
saying,
curious.
well, if with every ideology there's an extreme fringe group, right?
Yeah.
And I'm disagree. Well, if there's not, we just have the feds go create that group and then radicalize them.
It's very true. I mean,
Like I wouldn't be surprised at all if what's left of the KKK is like 90% CIA and FBI.
Right.
That's so true.
They're all in there having coffee together. Well, what are we going to do today?
this is totally off topic, but it came to my brain before is that I'd like to promote any Democrats that might listen to us. If you could consider voting for RFK, thank you, because I really.
Oh, I'm
like
a Democrat
endorsing him.
now.
I am too. I'm like hardcore RFK. Thank you.
Yeah. Except he can't talk. I mean,
Oh, that's okay. But he actually has a brain behind it. Like, unlike
He needs
Biden,
to-
who you don't know why he's not talking correctly, like, RFK can still be making very intelligent, logical debate. You know, he's basically operating. He just has a speech thing.
I'm a Democrat now.
Yeah, me too. RFK
yeah.
all the way, baby.
But how do we vote for him if he's not
he
going to?
has to win the primaries. It's I'm like, why?
But they're
don't
not
vote in the
primarying.
Democratic primary. I know, right? It's very democratic.
So I go in a non-existent Democrat primary and write him in?
Well, he's technically on the ballot, even though Joe Biden's camp will say there's no one that's competing against him. We do know that was a lady and a man, and that man, they're like, he has no gravitas. Yeah, no, he's just a Kennedy. He has no gravitas. No, but he's getting increasingly more popular. In fact, I think he just maybe broke 20%. Like they can't even deny it anymore.
Oh, they will,
He's
though.
huge.
Well, so there people.
I mean, he's got both Russell and I won over. I didn't know that you were an RFK fan. If you had to say what's your number one topic, it's the corporatocracy of basically corporations. It's exactly it's the number one thing that we're fighting right now, and that's his agenda, which is the corporatocracy of what used to be a democracy.
Hey, I want to go around the room and ask questions and include Jennifer here. When you hear about a politician, all right, Russell, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to you and go around. You hear a politician come up, they're talking, what are some things like litmus paper for you that you would say, okay, where they stand on X is going to determine whether I support them or not?
I mean, philosophically speaking, they just have to realize that to me, they can't help me in any way. And there's all these things that the government and has that stop me from doing what I want to do. And it'd be nice if that wasn't, if they got out of the way. So it's about, because the modern politician will probably, what they do is they just promise things and they print money to pay for these things. And so basically, I can't even answer your question because
make
It's
a
a
simple
perfect
thing.
answer,
Put
though.
it in a
That
box.
is a simple thing.
So they steal money from the general population or from any dollar holders by printing money to pay for subsidy programs that aren't going to benefit me at all. And then
Well, what if there was 4 candidates up there and one of them would say blank that would make you go, I'm voting for that guy?
and if anyone that wanted to end the Fed and understands that our money is corrupt, the way to defund all of these bad ideas is to fix the money because we're financing them through the Federal Reserve and our fiat monetary system. That's just it's a complete tax on overall society, but it's like a hidden tax. I think Ron Paul, who else other than Ron Paul has talked about ending the Fed?
Maybe, and I would say if I had to, hopefully RFK would definitely be open.
Fix
to
the
it.
money.
But they've already killed his uncle for that. So.
Yeah, fix the money, fix the world. I think you can look at an executive order that the President Kennedy had before he got executed.
Yeah, not long before.
And it was to fix the dollar and make it silver again, I believe. But yeah, I think the single biggest issue would be the money. And,
Okay.
and that's why I'm such a advocate of Bitcoin. I feel like a rules-based monetary system like Bitcoin could really change things because there'd be no way. Like they would just have to spend the same amount of money they take in with taxes. They can't steal money at
Yeah, it's economic responsibility. Jennifer, what about you?
I don't know how to follow that.
Well, let's say there's
Well,
4
no,
candidates.
I get your question.
It's a hard question.
I want simple. I just want somebody that actually knows how to run a country and wants the best for all of us, not just what is going to benefit.
They're
I'm
all 4 going
gonna
to say
tell
that,
you
though.
that's too
I know,
broad.
they're gonna say
but
that.
what's the one thing that matters most to you? Because what you just said is very broad.
It is.
How do you make a great
But
country?
World peace.
Hey, I'll be honest.
Just my world peace.
For example, his great country means zero government, right? But to the next person, a great country might mean obviously involvement with government. So what's the one thing that matters to you? The one thing.
There's a lot of things because I want to keep. A lot of what he said, I want to keep our rights. Other than I would love if they could just be like, "Hey, I'm not going to tell you what you have to do. I'm not going to tell you got to believe
What
in
did
this.
I
and you gotta
What did
believe in
I
this."
say that wanted to get
What
rid
you
of rights?
said, no, that's
The Fed.
That's not
The
what
Fed.
I-
To me,
Hey,
that's one that makes sense.
No, I mean them.
The
trying
Fed
to
is just a
control
dollar.
every single thing that we do. If my
So
sister would kill me if she heard this conversation.
so I think we have rights. I don't think the government has rights.
No, I mean
Right.
the government is just steadily, especially Democrats, are always trying to take away. They're trying to take away our gun rights. They're trying to take away our freedom of speech and saying all these things. I would like to keep all those. I know.
So which of those is most important to you? You're doing good. You're narrowing it down.
all of it. I can't really narrow it down.
but
It's
you
hard
gotta-
for me because I also want things like. Sorry, everybody. Or can we say?
You can say anything.
I don't want. I mean, I would like abortion banned.
Ooh,
myself.
taking that right away.
I know. Like, well,
So that's like a
Well,
human life thing playing.
yes, I would like Christian beliefs behind whoever is running.
Okay, so you believe
Okay,
a little
so
bit
Christian
of
beliefs.
mix
Yeah.
So
of
in the
religion
Fed,
and
a
government.
Christian,
And I find that interesting. She's okay with mixing religion and government. And,
Well,
I mean, it's okay.
whatever. There's
All
no right or
in-
wrong. We're
I
just
mean, it's
asking.
all in your rights, though. Like, I mean, I guess it takes away rights of people that want an abortion.
I know.
Yeah,
I
well,
guess
you're-
I'm just thinking
you're-
about
you're-
separation
you're-
of church and state.
yeah,
Tricky subject.
People
Yeah.
don't articulate that there's two people to give rights to, the fetus or the person that carries a fetus, and so what you're saying is you want to give the rights to the fetus.
Yes, because it's a human that didn't have a choice to be created, and then they're just murdered.
Right.
Yeah, that's my belief.
I like it. I like it a lot. Is that it?
Yeah. Well,
Okay. So,
Well,
all right. So here's my one, which is I have a close second, which is what I said, corporatocracy, right? It's Milo Yiannopoulos said it beautifully when he actually was on Timcast before he brought on Yeezy or whatever you called Kanye.
just the guy that's
said
the
it-
media's
he said
reporting
it-
is no longer gay.
Anyways, Milo brought it up and he worded it perfectly. I might find it in my notes and read it out to y'all about just. Anyways, we understand what a corporatocracy is. He basically said this is something that Orwell didn't see, which is where the government blends with private interest, corporations. That's what we're seeing today. It's a monster, right? Okay, I don't need to give an example of people. They get it, right? It's literally what we're fighting. Okay, but that's my second. The first one, just because I value, I guess, like it's instinct in human nature to want to survive and live, then it would be like, okay, so human life matters the most. And again, we've hit on this fact before on this show. Democide is the number one killer of human beings. Democide is death by government. So if you're wondering what you're most likely to die from, it is actually your own government. And there's only one way to survive democide, and that is to stay an armed society. Everyone else around the world can think we're crazy carrying our guns, but, they've disarmed hundreds of nations before and democide has followed. So, I don't know. I don't actually like being from a country that's full of a lot of guns, but since we have them, we know there's no other way living. We know that disarming us is only going to make us vulnerable for democide, which is still the number one killer of human beings. So I'm okay with our Second Amendment, so that would matter the most to me.
The Second Amendment?
Well, whichever one is the gun one.
that's the second.
I know.
Well, I'm just saying you're literally saying my number 2 is my number 1,
Oh,
whereas I think
you
number
protect
1
the
is
first
number
with
1.
the second. Well, you protect the first with the second. That's why they put it-
Number 2 is the backup for number 1, though. You don't need number
Exactly.
2 if you got number 1.
Well, but you're never going to have number one. I mean, we don't even have it right now.
Yeah, we do.
Free speech.
I mean, really, is it free? Like nothing. Everything is truth is gone. Like, I mean, look.
You're talking about
if
like
you
the
said-
modern, like we're here all speaking our mind rather freely. Like, yeah, some of these platforms may cancel us, but we're still not being arrested. Like if you go to some parts of the world today and you wrong think in public like we are right now, you end up behind bars.
Yeah,
So,
I guess you're right.
Yeah, if compared to that, we still have free speech.
I know. I guess when I was thinking, though, when you're saying free speech, I was even thinking like back in the day when you're just on the town center court and you say something, they either will like cancel you, muzzle you, or change what you just said. Like, I think thought and expression is very triangulated. It's the game of telephone immediately when it comes out of your mouth. So I just feel like free speech is actually a mirage, whereas the right to be able to A, defend yourself from an animal or another human being, and B, survive and eat something that you just shot. Because look, you could argue that plants can keep you alive, but you can't guarantee the weather. I mean, my dad's a farmer. I mean, I can say this, so a gun, whereas if you have the right to have a gun, you have the right to possible living a life and staying alive.
Bad ideas never make it in a society where you can openly express like criticism towards them. So that's why when you have the free speech, when you have the First Amendment, that's the biggest protector against tyranny, because like just tyrannical ideas are just they're obviously bad on their face. You have to censor criticism of them.
I actually think right now is such a perfect dynamic to look at it. Even right now, when we say free speech and the even word democracy, it actually means so many things. Like they even made up the word misinformation. Like words are completely twisted right now. The propaganda on those very things, misinformation, free speech, are completely two different things to people nowadays. So I do think like I suggest reading Orwell's 1984. Like, it's a really good
or
example
just
of
watch
what
the
we're
movie.
doing.
It's also very good.
I didn't even know there was a movie.
Oh yeah, I think it's on YouTube. It is on YouTube.
Okay.
1984.
But that's, I mean, you just said one thing. Look, I'm big into the corporatocracy.
We've talked
Gave
about
me
it
that.
on Quantum Bomb.
But you said what was the one thing that would make me not choose somebody or choose somebody.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I want to be able to, as a human life, they should be able to live. And it's proven time and time again. Look, if you want to argue me, I'm sorry, but thousands of years of human history on my side. It is.
Yeah, they are.
Guns win, period.
They are.
I'm sorry. And when you're in the zombie apocalypse, you're going to want one, and you're going to murder just to get one. You know, it's sad what we have to do, but this is why they make movies about it. You know?
The Great Equalizer.
What? Is that the
Firearm, a gun would be the Great Equalizer.
All right.
No
Matt?
matter the number, no matter the size, call on me and I will equalize. That's an advertisement for Colt in the 1800s.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound abrupt, but if you watch The Walking Dead, you get to we all come to the same conclusion.
What's better,
you gotta
bow and arrow?
survive. Or actually, I would love a bow and arrow, but at the end of the day, it's about survival and weapons.
You know what's easier? This. Yeah.
What's yours?
You could guess it. I was thinking what you just said. There are countries out there that are wonderful places to be, and they have extremely strict gun control. But to your point, if you think of life more than a fruit fly, and you think of it more than just the 80 or 100 years that you're going to live, you're 100% correct. It is organized extermination of those who are undesirables. My one, I'm kind of like you. I got a 1 and a 2. My second would be private ownership of land that is truly respected and is a right to own land, and do with it as you see fit. And two, my number one would be firearms, the private ownership of weapons. And I don't mean a bunch of regulated bullcorn. I mean, yeah, you can have an M60, and everybody jumps this stupid argument. Oh, you can have a nuke? No. Okay.
How about if you could make your own nuke?
Well,
you
first
can
off,
make
tell
your
our
own nuke.
audience what an M60 is, because I don't even know. I mean, you
It's
always say
a
these numbers.
belt fed machine gun. Okay, so anything that a squad in the military would be using, you should be able to have. I mean,
And please, for people that don't understand that, the point of us having the Second Amendment was to protect ourselves against even our own military guys. So if the military has it, as a citizen, you most definitely should be able to have
it was never anything about hunting. I mean, that argument's asinine.
What
But
about
in the 1920s, 1924, you could call up the arsenal and order a 75 millimeter artillery cannon. You could order artillery shells with explosive in them. You could order hand grenades. You could order machine guns. You could order everything that an infantry unit could have. You could get a tank with a live gun.
We got to draw the line somewhere. Infantry may be a good one. I think it's more simpler just to say like what a individual can carry on their person, and I would draw the line there.
Well, cannons have always been legal. Contrary to what Joe Biden said, cannons have always been legal. The biggest cannon that a ship could carry, an individual in 1790 could buy, and you can buy it still today. So
Everybody go get a cannon because it's legal.
nobody's
despite
done a
what
school
Joe
shooting
Biden
with a
said.
cannon. It only takes one shot to take the whole school out. But
Probably
it's,
miss people, though.
well, you load a grape shot, and it would just sweep the ground.
But I actually am curious.
They're not
on the
even
cannon,
regulated.
Isn't
That's
it
what's
just
hilarious.
a metal ball rolling through a building, or does it actually detonate into an
No,
explosion?
well, that depends on what you load it with. But if you
Is
load a
that a grape
cannon,
shot?
like legally right now, there is no paperwork required. You could be 15 years old and legally get a giant cannon, load it with black powder, and shoot that thing. And you could load it with a bunch of ball bearings, 900 pounds of ball bearings, and sweep out a parking lot of cars, and there'd be no gun law broken.
Wait, when you mean ball bearings, are those tiny fragments that frag out?
No, it's a ball bearing. It's a steel
it's just
ball
a
the
big
size of
ball.
a marble, and you get thousands of them, load them up in there, and it spreads like a giant shotgun. That's not illegal. Anybody can own a black powder gun, and they don't regulate the size of that. So, no, if you've got the land, and see, here's the thing. This country was not built for babies. It was built for regulated individuals, people who said, I want to buy an artillery piece because I have 9,000 acres in the desert where I'm going to go shoot my artillery piece. If you lived in New York City, you also could buy the artillery piece. But what's going to happen if you load that up in your yard and start firing across Manhattan? Well, you're probably going to get shot. So,
But what you don't realize is that the people in Manhattan are now making the rules for folks such as yourself. So and they've taken over the country. So
Yeah.
you need to move on, Matt.
I don't
So
think they have.
over.
They have not taken over the country.
Here's what I want to say, though. I understand what I'm saying is sloppy, and there's no easy answer for any of this.
Freedom is sloppy.
It's all complicated.
Well, the federal government's now like their highest priority is escorting illegal immigrants into the country.
And man,
so
before-
like,
Yeah, but
like-
before you hijack that,
That's actually a topic we didn't get into.
what I
tonight.
wanted to say, why I chose the Second Amendment or ownership of military firearms as my number one, is because I look to nature for a lot of my answers, and nature is chaotic. But there has to be something that is a checkpoint, something that says, "Past this line, you shall not cross." And as government encroaches or criminals encroach, whatever, I do believe that thoughts are the most powerful thing we have. Education is extremely important. At the end of the line, at 3 o'clock in the morning, when there is an evil force on your doorstep, though, there's no time for negotiation. And that simple thing of a firearm.
are you
has to
answering
be
your own question?
Well, what question?
The one you asked all three of us.
Yeah, he answered it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is this
I'm
part? Is
answering.
this part of your answer?
Yeah, now I'm done.
So it's the
Answer
Second
mine.
Amendment.
With ownership of military
Actually,
firearms.
I like it. It's more interesting.
Where do you
though.
draw the
It's-
line?
Yeah, his is a caveat. It needs military grade.
If a military unit, ground force, is using it, you should have it.
But you've already said no nukes, or did you not?
Yeah, I said no nuke.
Okay, so where do you draw the line between like a 500-pound hydrogen bomb and the aircraft carrier to deliver that, and where you?
Yeah, if you can have the aircraft carrier, if you can afford it, yeah, go get it. Yeah. I mean, I've got a tank, and the only reason I've got a little starter tank is because I'm not rich enough to get like a Tiger tank.
So like the aircraft carrier,
Battleship. would be
fighter
better.
jets, basically anything that doesn't. Your only line is if it explodes via nuclear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like if I could afford a battleship and a crew to run it, I would totally have a battleship with 16-inch guns, and I would buy an island and shell the shit out of it for fun. And I'd charge people to come and do it, and believe me, they'd pay. They'd line up.
Well, most countries don't even have aircraft carriers.
Piss on an aircraft carrier. We did away with battleships because we think they're antiquated, but they're badass. Look, if you were jacking with me and the next morning you roll your window up and there's a battleship with 16-inch guns aimed at you sitting about 300 yards off your coast, we're going to negotiate.
It's a sitting duck.
A battleship is not quite a sitting duck. It's got a lot of...
You would have to have a lot of you'd have to have the missiles that shoot down missiles.
Yeah, well, you can put them on there. But a
Or-
battleship's just cool, man. I don't need a tank, and I damn sure wouldn't run to my tank to defend my farm from some criminal because it takes a while. But
My battery's going dead. Beth, what are you doing?
I actually realized that I forgot, now that we're hiring a virtual assistant to be posting our podcast, that I should be taking the notes to pass off to them. So I'm now writing our podcast description.
Quantum bomb.
Boom, boom, boom.